You've talked about Mudryk being perhaps the big surprise of the transfer window, but I think Chelsea are also involved in the fiasco of the transfer window. Hakim Ziyech,
Yes.
Nobody really expected that link with PSG up until the very last minute of the transfer window. Suddenly it looks like the deal's going to happen. He's in Paris, he does his medical, and then it falls through incredibly. I mean, what happened there? From what you're hearing, where does the sort of fault lie with that? Because the player must be pretty distraught right now.
Yes, the player is really disappointed also because Hakim Ziyech in the last 48 hours of the market received 2-3 approaches, not just from Paris Saint-Germain, but he had also other 2-3 possibilities, also in other countries, and he only wanted to go to PSG. As you mentioned, he was in Paris, he had his medical, so his message was very clear. He wanted the PSG move. And it was a big shock. Paris Saint-Germain are really furious with Chelsea because they think the documents were signed but were sent too late. And so they think it was Chelsea's fault, and this is why the deal collapsed. Chelsea say that it's about the technology, and when they sent the contracts, it was not the right time because of the technology and not because of them. So we will see. They will clarify the situation. I think they will speak and try to clarify the situation. In this moment, they are really furious. The player is really disappointed. Let's see what Ziyech will decide to do, because now some Turkish club, the market is still open there. Some Turkish club will try to approach Ziyech for sure, but I'm told that at the moment the player doesn't have any intention to change his mind. He wanted PSG, so now he wants to understand what's the next step. But Paris Saint-Germain are really furious. Let me say another thing. When you arrive to the final minutes of the transfer window, when you had 1 month to complete the deal, this is something that you have to expect, because if you arrive to the end, big surprises can be positive, like Enzo, but also negative, like Ziyech. So I can't understand why clubs arrive to the final day sometimes if you can do your business before.
Real quickly, I want to jump in quickly. Yeah. Do you think because of the Enzo deal that might have messed up what was happening with the paperwork with the Ziyech deal?
No. I think no. Chelsea have many people into the board. It's not one director. There are some clubs, for example, Benfica, Manuel Costa decides everything. But in Chelsea, they have 2 owners. They have 4 or 5 people into the board. They were dealing with many things because at the same moment, they had some young players deal to be completed, other negotiations, other signings. So they did many things at the same moment. So it's not about the Enzo deal. I'm sure about that. It's about how they sent the contracts. The contracts were signed, but were sent too late. But I'm told it's not about Enzo.
I smell a bit of the David De Gea fax machine crime that was committed in the January transfer window yesteryear. It was a double dose of disappointment for PSG. Not only did they not get Ziyech, but they didn't get another player, Fab. Why did Inter Milan not sell Skriniar, and how did this deal collapse in the end?
Yes, the deal collapsed because of the financial fair play. So just to explain, Paris Saint-Germain have an agreement with Skriniar for the summer. So Skriniar is expected to join Paris Saint-Germain on a free transfer in the summer. He signed the pre-contract, the normal pre-contract you can sign in January to become a player of a new club as free agent in the summer. Then what happened? PSG told Inter that they wanted to make a proposal to sign Skriniar immediately, but Inter said, we want 20 million to let Skriniar leave now. Why? Because of the financial fair play, they need to complete deals with the same value if they want to bring in a replacement. And the only replacement they really wanted was Merih Demiral, the Turkish center-back of Atalanta. So the Demiral value was 20 million, and Inter wanted 20 million because they're not allowed to spend €1 more of what they're receiving from the sale of Milan Skriniar. This was the reason. So Atalanta asked for 20 million for Demiral, and Paris Saint-Germain only offered 10 million euros for Milan Skriniar. For PSG, the value to anticipate the deal was 10 million euros. So Inter were waiting for PSG to improve the proposal, but the only bid made by Paris Saint-Germain was 10 million euros on Saturday, and nothing else happened. So Skriniar is staying at Inter, not an easy situation, not easy at all, because we know that the fans are not happy with Skriniar already deciding to go to Paris Saint-Germain, but at the end of the season, he will join Christophe Galtier, Luis Campos, and all the Paris Saint-Germain team.
Now, I know you are in. You are in with PSG. You know exactly what went wrong. And you just let slip just for a brief minute there that you were disappointed with the way that PSG handled this situation. So from your point of view and from what you saw or heard, what the hell went wrong, man?
Yeah, I mean, I was only half joking when I said that I was disappointed with the way that sort of PSG reacted quite late in the window. I mean, I think we've known, certainly people following the club week in, week out have known exactly where PSG needed to target to strengthen, in January ahead of the second half of the season. And the fact that they left it so late to try and tie up Skriniar, suddenly woke up to this potential deal for Ziyech when, I mean, I can understand sort of people getting potentially excited about Ziyech, like, when he's on form. He's a great player to watch. I don't particularly think PSG needed him. I think there should have been a backup, like an alternative to Skriniar, perhaps a stopgap solution for the second half of the season. And I also think that they didn't need to leave it until the last minute to try and work out what was going to happen with Herrera and also Navas as well. For me, that's business that probably could have been done, at least sort of in maybe the third week of the window, which would have given them more time to line things up. So no, for me, I don't buy it. I mean, yes, you can say that PSG got unlucky a bit. There were sort of extenuating circumstances a little bit. There was an LFP system bug as well, around about the time that the transfer window was closing. But that doesn't matter. I mean, as for what Fab was saying about sort of the arguments from both sides, at the end of the day, whether or not they agree on sort of what happened and whether or not one party was more at fault than the other, the LFP will not recognize the Ziyech transfer. So whatever happens, he won't be registered as a PSG player. So it's unless they go back on their word, it's not going to happen. And that is a big mess. And I feel that given that PSG were prepared to sort of pay for the loan of Ziyech, which is what they were prepared to do because it wasn't going to be with an option to buy, they probably could have lined up somebody for their defense, because their defense is absolutely shocking. And as I said about a week ago or so, PSG won't be winning the Champions League with the current defense that they have. Marquinhos is not in form. Ramos has suddenly dropped off in the way that you would expect a veteran sort of in his mid to late 30s. And Presnel Kimpembe has been injured for months now. So for me, I think that given that PSG, have sort of this much vaunted recruitment department and obviously a sporting advisor of the caliber of Luis Campos, I think this was a failure for him as well.
JJ, you saw the Ziyech fiasco, the Skriniar debacle, but you also saw players move out, the need to go out. How would you rate overall the January transfer window from a PSG perspective?
I don't rate it that well, to be honest. I mean, I think I gave it a D- in my article. I guess if I'd have been allowed to actually give out like an F grade or a U grade, I might have gone for something like that. No, I'm joking. But no, to be honest, I'm not really that convinced by it. I mean, okay, getting rid of Herrera permanently, I think that's the right move for both player and club. But I think Navas, I think PSG have blocked Navas one time too many. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm looking forward to seeing how he does with Nottingham Forest, and it's going to be great to see him playing regularly again. I think he probably should have been allowed to move in the summer. We know that Napoli were very keen on him. Okay, Napoli, based on their form at the moment, don't need him. But, I don't think that PSG perhaps should have stood in his way to make him be the backup goalkeeper to Donnarumma. When you have somebody in Sergio Rico who is quite happy in that role, he accepts that he is a second choice goalkeeper. And it's basically why he signed up to play for PSG, to take that role, to make it his own. So, I think that PSG have been quite unfair with Navas sort of over the last 6 months or so. And really, I feel like, if you're going to do business, or if there's even a hint that you're going to do business in January, you have to be much better prepared for this window than PSG were. So for that, I wouldn't give them anything above a D. I mean, even if they had pulled off the Ziyech signing, we would have been talking probably around C grade. I think the only thing that really would have been a game changer for PSG this month is either if they could have brought in Skriniar, brought that deal forward, or found somebody else, perhaps a free agent, or perhaps somebody who could have come in on loan, just to sort of add another body at the back in defense. Because this idea that PSG are well stacked in defense, ahead of a potential title push in Ligue 1, going for Coupe de France glory, on top of the Champions League, where they're coming up against a very difficult Bayern side, it's difficult to feel too positive about their chances right now.